By the power of Grayskull, I have the power. At least the power to share my favorite 80s cartoons with you. I'm Ben Gray, and this is another behind the scenes look at my Saturday Morning Adventures mod. And this is my love letter to the classic cartoons of my youth, featuring everybody's favorite characters like the Ninja Turtles, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Silverhawks, Transformers, and of course, He-Man. This is essentially the equivalent of emptying out your childhood toy box and giving players the chance to pick whatever combinations of characters they want to explore, and the ability to play with all of them. And I'm going to include full campaigns for each of these settings, and at least one crossover, and maybe a few other surprises along the way. This video is another preview of one of those campaigns, and as my background may have given away, it's the He-Man campaign. So let's jump in, and I'll tell you a bit about the setting and about the characters that we're exploring and what's happening in this adventure. All right. We begin in the mystical forests, which is a setting from the original cartoon. And you'll see the visuals are mostly styled like the classic cartoon. Our He-Man is, ripped almost straight from the animation cells, and Battle Cat looks just like his toy and his counterpart on the screen. Here we begin with this suspicious situation. A patrol has gone missing, and we find Mer-Man injured in a clearing. What could be going on here? Clearly there's nothing untoward and nothing to be worried about. We just have to help our friend. Would you look at that? An ambush. And here come some of Skeletor's minions. So, Dean Joe was kind enough to create these cannon fodder, these minions for Skeletor, based on the designs from the Netflix series, which, I thought did a pretty good job with these guys. It definitely... you need Skeletor to have some rank and file, some regular minions to fill out the numbers, since you can only have so many of the evil warriors, and you don't want to waste all of them in one story. So these guys gave me an opportunity to fill out the roster a bit. And I thought they had, pretty good designs, and Dean Joe's versions, of course, look amazing. All right, so we've beaten that first ambush, and from the very beginning, I had an idea of sort of what I wanted this first mission to be, and that gimmick with the trees exploding and revealing these towers, these turrets. That was one of the things I had in mind, and I thought it would be a real pain to pull off. It was pretty easy. I just placed markers for each of the guns, and then placed the tree objects on top of them. Took note of the tree names and had the script call "kill the tree," kill this object when it was time for the reveal, and I think it turned out pretty well. Although I think for this first encounter, I probably am stacking the deck a bit too hard against my new players. With He-Man and Battle Cat surrounded by these towers and by enemies, I'll probably have to make it a little easier. But let's see what is going on. So Mer-Man is a favorite character of mine, especially, and you'll hear me say this a lot in this video, but in the 2002 Revival series, the reboot series, I feel like that generally is, and I know I'm going to get hate mail from He-Man fans for this, but I think the 2002 series is really the best of all He-Man worlds. it's the series that really seemed to develop the mythos and to create a world that was sort of self-consistent and felt like rich and fully imagined, and the characters had a bit more depth. And their version of Ram-Man was this sort of big bruiser with a heart of gold, sort of in many ways the heart of the Masters team. Speaking of Masters, that's there's apparently some debate about like who the Masters of the Universe are, the titular Masters of the Universe, and the 2002 series had the Masters as the team of heroes, which I always thought was pretty appropriate. But apparently people sort of take arms against that. Well, so let me talk a bit about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe as a concept before we go too far into the mission. These were some of the earliest memories I have of the pop culture of my youth are of He-Man and his world. And I had a number of the figures. I know I had Cat, and He-Man at some point in time, and a couple others. But because He-Man was pretty early in my life, he's one that was sort of replaced by later fascinations, like with Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joe and such. And so I didn't have as strong a feeling and strong a connection to this character in this world as I did with some of the others in this mod. And so I ended up sort of finding more connection and finding more to connect to in the 2002 series. And so much of the mod is actually designed sort of from that perspective. The characterization, the writing, it's designed to see a bit more like that. But if you listen to the soundtrack, all the music is actually from the original cartoon, as are the visuals. And so it's sort of this bit of a mixture. I ended up doing what I often do, which is sort of taking multiple versions and putting them together and sort of picking out what I think are some of the best elements. But even though I wasn't as connected to He-Man as I was to, say, Ninja Turtles, I really had a blast writing this campaign and putting this mission together. Although, as I'll tell you in a minute, the mission has proven to be an absolute nightmare, which is why it's been so long between the previous video and this one. We meet one of the original strong female characters of the 80s. Having gone back and watched the show, I was astonished at how well they treat Teela for the most part. Like, I sort of expected her to be the helpless female sidekick, but she's in there and swinging and is holding her own. And she generally comes off pretty well in the show, actually. And now here's something I'm fairly pleased with. I was able to create He-Man's his classic power-up sequence. I'm not entirely happy with it, but I used a clip from the 2000s show. And, I think it turned out pretty well. Well, so here we discover that Teela and her patrol got ambushed in the forest, just as He-Man had, and they got split up and sort of picked off one by one. And we now have to figure out what has happened to the rest of the patrol, which includes Man-at-Arms and Stratos. And we get the impression that maybe there's more here than meets the eye. It might be more than just an attack by an everyday attack by Skeletor. So we'll be going in search of Stratos, but Man-at-Arms remains missing. But as I was saying, Tila in the old show was treated pretty well, and was treated as an equal with the event, and actually more than an equal. She was the captain of the guard, and so she had authority and had a great deal of capability that was pretty surprising for the era, especially for a show that was intentionally designed to be, a boys' power fantasy, for them to take the effort to create this positive female character. Gotta get the tree out of the way there so I can get the canister. Oh, well, I guess that's one way to do it. So we're now heading in search of Stratos, and uh-oh, looks like he's been captured as well. Now Stratos, he was actually my favorite character when I was a kid, and still is. Once again, the 2002 series I thought did quite well with him. And his sort of inexplicable Scottish accent, I felt like was pretty charming. And the sort of Sean Connery impersonation that the voice actor did was a lot of fun. But, he just had this cool design, this winged, sort of almost Hawkman type character, which has always been a favorite of mine. In terms of builds, He-Man is, as you'd expect, he's a powerhouse. He hits like a truck. He's very tough, and he's definitely the strongest character in the game, as makes sense. Battlecat, I've had trouble balancing him. He's I've got some limitations in terms of the character's animations, so I don't have a lot of options. It's sort of limited. But Tila is pretty much exactly what you'd expect. She's a bit of a glass cannon. Compared to He-Man, she's a little bit weak. But she's got a lot of range attacks. She's got the ability to strike multiple opponents. And she has a lot of equipment, like there's Cat still dealing with one last guy. Uh-oh. Yes, this mission, there are traps throughout the woods, and so you can run into these little electrical mines that can damage and stun. And that was one of the things that I was pleased to be able to do with the scripting with actual Python, is that it gave me the ability to actually do traps, because the traps in EasyScript have never quite worked. And so that was a pleasant and surprisingly painless, considering how difficult the rest of this mission was, bit of this. There we go, put him down. Alright, so let me tell you a bit more about the various characters that make up our team here. As I said, Battlecat, his animations are a little limited, so I had to be a bit creative. I would have liked to have a few more options, but he hits really hard, and he has a couple of attacks that can do good stun or good knockback. He's a little bit fragile compared to He-Man, because He-Man has innate toughnesses, innate resistances that make him pretty hard to hurt. Although he's managed to get banged up pretty well in this fight so far. Tila, as I said, she's got a lot of utility abilities, like she's got stasis attack, she's got blinding attack, she's got some grenade type attacks, and some range attacks. And Mer-Man is exactly what you'd expect. He's not very fast, but he's tough, and he has ramming attacks. He can do a little bit of an area attack by smashing the ground, and he has a couple of quick head attacks that can stun and knock foes back. Stratos, who, oh, well, found another mine. Stratos, who, as I said, is my favorite character. We don't get to use him in this mission. He's going to head out after our team interviews him, because he's wounded. But I have a mission in mind that will star him later on. in a perfect world, I would love to do a mission set in the Mystic Mountains where the Adrenids, the bee folks, and the avians, the bird folk, live, and sort of explore those two cultures a bit. But I think in terms of resources, I probably won't have the opportunity to do that. Stratos, I tried to capture that sort of Scottish brogue from the cartoon, that Sean Connery imitation. And this leads our team to try and track down Men-at-Arms and find the source of the mysterious interference that is keeping them from calling for help. And now they've got to track that to its source. So, as I said, this mission just gave me fits. What I'm doing is not terribly complicated. None of these pieces are really that different from other things I've done and that have worked easily, which drove me mad. Like the whole Stratos thing. My original intention was for him to be wounded and just sort of stunned, waiting for the heroes to find him, like Mer-Man had been, but still up on his feet. And that caused no end of problems with the minions wanting to attack him before the encounter started and all kinds of stuff. And that and this last piece both gave me just absolute fits. I went round and round and round trying to write this with the AI to do the scripting, and like I said in the last one, one of the things I discovered is it's definitely not quite ready to take over from humans, which, you know, is good news. Oops, there's another mine right there. Which is good news from the folks who do that for a living. And I'm certainly not sorry for that. But for my little efforts, it proved maddening. Alright, here we meet three of the evil warriors: Triclops, Mer-Man, and Trapjaw. Three that I think are a lot of fun. And Triclops in the 2002 series was sort of this inventor who was sort of the parallel Man-at-Arms, the tactician and inventor of the good guys. So here I've got sort of, two heavies with Trapjaw and Mer-Man, and sort of the brains of the group with Triclops. And the Jammer, the titular Jammer, that suddenly is no longer a factor thanks to the appearance of Men-at-Arms. And Men-at-Arms is another really great character that He-Man gave us. Sort of father figure to Adam and guide, and this tactical and genius. And I thought in the Netflix series they called him the most dangerous man in Eternity. I thought that was a really fun description. Uh-oh. And so I sort of played with that he's sort of this Batman figure, this dangerous hero who's just really capable and able to... Uh-oh. Tila's getting the worst of here a little bit. Time for a heroic revival for He-Man, because he is... One of the things Triclops can do is he can... Oh, I better get him out of there. Oh, we lost He-Man! That is unfortunate. That definitely leaves us a little bit more vulnerable. So, anyway, one of the things Triclops can do is he can reverse the resistances of a hero, and since He-Man is, his toughness comes from that, it allows him to sort of defeat He-Man's defenses, and getting a little distracted here as I try to manage the fight, but it allows him to cut right through that, and that can make him pretty dangerous to our hero. Let's get her out of the fight. Unfortunately, Ram-Man is holding his own over here. Looks like Battlecat managed to finish off Triclops, and I think that Man-at-Arms is tangling with Trapjaw. Let's hope he'll win that fight. So, Mer-Man is, as you might expect from the guy who's a fan of the aquatic characters, he's one of my favorite of the evil warriors. And he's portrayed as this dangerous villain. Looks like we've finished most of them off. Just a couple of the eagle eyes left. These are a product of the 2002 series as well. These little minions of, there we go, Triclops. All right. So now we discover there's more here than meets the eye. This is not just an ambush. It's not just an attempt to, take out the Masters. There's something else brewing, and this was just the opening gambit of a new move. But our heroes will face it together. And what He-Man story would be complete without a moral message at the end? So this is something I'm going to do for all of my He-Man stories. For each of the missions, we'll have a little moral moment at the end where we get a lesson, just like the classic cartoon and the 2002 series. Here it's about thinking before we jump in, which I thought was an appropriate lesson for this adventure. Until next time. So that gives you a bit of an overview of this first mission, a bit of a preview of it. It's a shorter mission than the first Meet Animals mission, and it's a bit more straightforward in a lot of ways. But this is the opening gambit, as I said, of the He-Man campaign, and we'll see what Skeletor has got up his bony sleeves. And through that, through this series of missions, we'll see Skeletor, Evil Lyn. We'll see the rest of the Masters that are sort of the main characters, including Stratos and oh goodness, my mind's just gone blank. The bee fellow whose name is escaping me for some reason, Buzz-Off, and several others. We'll see pretty much everything that's been created for Freedom Force, which is most of the main characters. We've got pretty great coverage thanks to Dean Joe and to the others who have, Night Valis and several of the other creators who have really just blown these out of the park. I hope that this was interesting to y'all, and that this preview keeps some folks interested and maybe creates some more interest in the project. Each of these characters is a blast to play with, and I think of all of these settings and characters, perhaps the He-Man characters translate most effectively to Freedom Force because they're sort of more superheroic in scale than a lot of the others, and they just sort of feel appropriate for the setting. I think they'll be a blast to play with. All right, folks. I hope that you guys had a good time, and until next time, take care.